Hi everyone, I'm Eszter Kovacs, a co-founder and CEO of DroneTalks, and today I'm talking with Zacc from Flyability. Hi Zacc.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. So, Flyability, we all know the drone. I think when I close my eyes, it's in front of me because it's so
It's a really
particular,
iconic design, yeah.
like very unique design.
Sure.
So I think that was one of the first drone I ever seen in my life. But what happened from that, point? There is the rounded design.
Sure.
What's going on in Flyability and what Flyability does if someone doesn't know Flyability?
Yeah, sure. So the design you're talking about is that our drone has a cage around it, which is a really unique design. When people see the cage, they always get curious. So the cage looks cool, but it also has a really practical function. It protects the drone so it can fly in confined spaces. The drone's made for flying into tight, hard to reach spots where an inspector might otherwise have to go in person. So instead of an inspector going into a boiler, a pressure vessel, a nuclear reactor, the drone can go in there and collect visual data for the inspector while they stand safely outside. So you asked what's happening with that drone. So honestly, when we first launched, the Helios 1 was a really cool idea, but it wasn't a great tool. It sort of flew like this. It had the neat cage design, but since then we've improved it a lot. The Helios 2, we took a lot of feedback from inspectors and we made really a tool for them that had features like distance lock, so you could make sure you were flying the same distance from a surface. It had oblique lighting, so it could mimic what an inspector does with a flashlight, holding their light source so they can really see like a weld. But now the Helios 3, which we just launched a few months ago, it has lidar sensing, which is a huge step change. So you have this drone you can fly in a confined space, but it can create 3D models in real time using lidar data. So on the tablet, a pilot will see a 3D model of the environment they're flying in along with the visual feed. So if you have a lot of dust, you can use the 3D model to fly. There's a lot of other uses for that 3D model.
Wow, so you progress, you had like an evolution from the early ages.
There has been a lot of improvements made over time, absolutely, since we launched, yeah.
Fantastic. So, on the other hand, what do you see? Like, it's normally an indoor model, right? So, and which use cases it utilize mostly?
It's a great question. So mining is a big use case.
Yeah, okay.
You can imagine there's a lot of confined spaces, dangerous spaces in mining where, a lot of them you literally couldn't go in. It's too dangerous for a person. But using a drone like ours, you can learn what's going on. And an example is, I was talking to a guy who works in mining recently. He had a huge clog in an ore pass, and they, for 2 months, drilled all these holes, did all this work trying to find out why there was a clog, what the clog looked like. Couldn't figure it out. We came in with our drone in 10 minutes, flew up the ore pass, made a 3D model of it, and took a picture. There's a huge boulder right there, and we're able to give them information they could use to actually remove the clog. So there's all kinds of scenarios. Mining is one, wastewater is another. The city of Lausanne, where we're headquartered, their water department uses our drone to inspect water tanks and also to inspect sewer pipes. And then oil and gas, power generation, those are some other industries where people are using our drone. We're seeing a lot of use in maritime as well, all for inspections, big tanks, big assets where you have to go inside and see what's going on in there.
Totally. And, just out of interest, because I love, have difficult questions, how the company grew in the last couple of years. Like, I'm just wondering, from a 1-2 person operation, how big is Flyability now?
Now we have over 100 employees.
Oh, wow.
And we have 4 offices. So we're headquartered in Lausanne, Switzerland, but we also have an office in the US, in Denver, Colorado. We have an office in China, and we also have an office in Singapore. So we're really a global company now.
Fantastic. And in how many years it grew? Just around
2014 is when we launched.
Oh, wow.
2016 is when we put out the Helios 1. So
like
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So that means, the company has like a decent business case in the market. There's a niche, what you provide solution for. Okay.
And I should also mention, on the subject of growth, we just yesterday announced the completion of a Series C fundraising round.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's exciting. I've known for a while, but I wasn't allowed to tell anybody, so I'm glad I can talk about it now. But we raised a total of 22 million Swiss francs, 15 million most recently. We raised 7. We announced that like a year and a half ago, but we completed the round at 22. That's exciting.
Congratulations. So what's the plan with the 22 million? Is that a secret?
I'm going to the Bahamas. No.
That's good. Can you take me?
Absolutely. I mean, 22. We can afford everyone.
We can afford from 22 million, right?
Fine Island. But so No, the money will go to continuing to secure our position as the leader in confined space inspection technology for aerial platforms. And then also a big place that we're going next. The Helios 3, we like to say it's like a smartphone. So the Helios 2 was really like a flip phone. That's it. You get the drone, you can't change it. The Helios 3, just like with a smartphone, you can add apps and make it yours.
Amazing, yeah.
So you can add, it has a modular payload, so it has the lidar, but it has a second payload that you could add different kinds of sensors. So we're really building out the technology so you can add other sensors, other kinds of sensing. An obvious place that we're going to want to go soon, we already had a drone, the E2 RAD, the Helios 2 RAD, that had a dosimeter for sensing dose for nuclear inspections. That's a place that we're interested in going next with the Helios 3. There's a lot of other kinds of sensors we want to have.
I am a really amateur in this sensors field, so maybe my question going to be a little bit silly, but like, you use different sensors for different purposes, right?
Yeah.
And what I am thinking, if I'm a company and I'm an inspector company, maybe I provide service in different, for different customers, right?
Yeah.
So I don't need to be specialized in, I don't know, only nuclear power inspections.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of what I want to go to is like, it's fantastic because the inspection companies can have drones for multiple purposes and they just swap the sensors, right?
That's the vision, exactly.
I am just,
you're absolutely right.
You're basic and logic,
Because for a long time, really, what you could get with our drone was mainly visual. What does it look like in there? And we had a thermal camera, but frankly, it wasn't that great. So the thermal data was okay. Now we have lidar. Lidar opens up all these new use cases. You get 3D models that you can use to measure stockpiles. You can get situational awareness. There's a lot of value in 3D modeling. But like you're saying, if you can swap in another sensor, because this client wants you to get UT, like ultrasonic thickness data. I'm only using that as an example. That's one that comes up a lot. There's a lot of different kinds of data people want. And so the goal is to be able to get that data for whoever needs it, right?
Yeah, user-friendly way. So my last question is, why Switzerland? I know the founders are Swiss.
Yeah.
That's as far as I know,
Yeah.
That's clear. You have an office, but the headquarters stayed in Switzerland and it grows in Switzerland,
right.
Which is fantastic. So what's the benefit of being in Switzerland?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. No, we all know that. This is why my company's in Switzerland.
Well, and fondue. I mean,
but
no. So the real answer, as you said, our founders, our CEO and our CTO, our CEO Patrick Tavaz and our CTO Adrian Briot, they're Swiss. So that's a reason. But the other reason we're in Lausanne specifically, Adrian got his PhD in robotics at EPFL, and that spun out into the Helios 1, this idea that you could create a flying robot that could go into confined spaces. And he was inspired to start his PhD work. He was watching the Fukushima disaster unfold on the television. They're sending ground-based robotics solutions in, trying to get data, what's going on in there. You don't want to send a person. And those ground-based robots kept getting washed out. They couldn't get through because of debris. And Adrian said, there's got to be a way to go into these dangerous places and see what's happening in there. And that became his PhD, and then became Flyability. Yeah, and EPFL was a seed funder when we first launched as a startup back in 2014. So, and it's also worth saying Lausanne is a startup hub. There's over 100 startups. EPFL is really organically part of that. It's not the only reason there's all these startups in Lausanne, but there's a lot of people that went to EPFL that then started companies based on the research.
So they accelerate the innovation,
exactly.
You mean, the EPFL.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the great interview. It was a really pleasure, Zacc.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.